Hey guys, and what's up? We're back with another episode. Today, we've got for you a weekly roundup. So, we're going to be diving into four major topics in this week roundup, leading into the big game. The big game, I feel like it needs no explanation, it needs no backstory. It is the biggest game. So, the first topic we're going to be talking about is the GETAFE game, the review that I'm going to have for you, then the review of the Juventus game, and then we're going to have the just some minor major news things that happened in between the week, and of course I give you my preview of El Clasico. Okay, so first start with Getafe. The game ended 1-0. We won the game just narrowly. We secured the 3 points. We had an 80th minute goal from Kylian Mbappe, that being the main thing about the match. We had the win coming in from that 80th minute goal from Mbappe. Beautiful assist from Arda Güler gives it to him. Mbappe scores, continue his scoring form in La Liga, and his goal scoring streak. He's now at it should be 20 goals this season. The second major point we had is that Getafe in that game had 2 red cards, so they actually ended the game with 9 men and not the 11 that they started with. But the funny thing about those red cards that I found interesting was both of them were taken and happened against Vinicius Jr. or intertwined with Vinicius Jr. So he came on and he may not have had a goal and assist and contributed to the game in the attacking sense, but with the first one, the guy fouls him and gets a straight red card. That was, I think it was in Dumiai. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correct. He fouled him and got a red card. The second one was a player who had a yellow card ended up clipping Vinicius Jr. as he was doing a dribble, completing a dribble on a skill, and then he gets that second yellow card and gets sent off. So that was interesting because, with Real Madrid, you hear a game where we scored already. First, people are asking, is it a penalty? Okay, it's not a penalty. Was there anything else? And then you hear those red card, and then you have those 2 red cards, and everybody's just gonna go up in arms and think, no, this was corruption. No, this was this. This was Real Madrid. But I'm here to say that afterwards the game, Getafe players, they came out. So at first they started saying no, the referee's decisions need to be checked. How did he get this? How did he get to this, decisions? But later on, the players who actually got the red cards, Ndimiai and the other player, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, sorry. They came out and personally said that this was just our fault. We let this game slide. We could have taken advantage of, and they could have taken advantages in that game. And I'm so happy that they didn't win this game, because just the day before, Barcelona had beaten Girona 2 goals to 1 with also a late winner, and they were also on the break. So just going into a Classico, this was very interesting. Going into a Classico, both of us almost dropped points, and I literally believe that if whoever dropped points in that thing, it would have been dire to the season. Even if it's early doors, I think we're still in game week 8. It would have been very dire to the season having to drop points, especially if Barcelona won, meaning that they now go 1 point ahead, and then we lose, meaning that we stay, or if we draw, meaning that we stay level points or go 1 to 3 points behind, and then end up losing the Classico, would have been very detrimental. But luckily, we both won. We both held strong. Our defense held strong. Militao played very well for me in that game. Valverde at right back, I've been saying it. He might even just be our first choice. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I do not want to see Valverde a first choice, because I love when he plays in the midfield. But he plays very well right back. The defense held strong because they had to. They locked it down. Getafe, after they got the second red card, it was just hard for them to continue attacking. They just had to sit back and let the game draw out. After Mbappe scored, we realized, okay, this was going to be the game. This type of win we're going to have. We took our win, took the 3 points. It was a beautiful game. All round, I would say a good game, but not the best game. We were poor at certain types. I didn't really like Vinicius. His attacking play too much in that game. I feel like Master Antoine was very quiet in that match. But overall, we got the 3 points, so we stay ahead of Barcelona. 2 points ahead of them on the table going into a Classico, which is always going to be a blessing if we can at least be ahead of them by even the slightest margin of points. Meaning, even if we lose now, we're going to be 1 point behind them, which is very catchable because it's just the 1 game deficit. So if they draw a game and we win it, we're back on top. If they lose a game and we draw, we're level on points. You see, so it's very good to be in these close, tight angles going into a Classico, as opposed to if we had lost and let's say we build up like a 5 point lead and then they beat us in a Classico and get 8 points ahead this early in the season. Having to track them for 3 losses would be almost impossible. The second point and the second thing I wanted to talk about on this roundup is the Juventus game. Now I want to start by saying something. If you know anyone who's a Real Madrid fan, be it your friend, be it your child, be it your father, your parent, your mother, your anyone, your uncle, cousin, and they tell you that they watched that game, the full 90 minutes of that game plus additional time, and they say that they enjoyed the way we performed, the way we played, they're lying to you. They're not a real Real Madrid fan, because that game was poor. That was a bad game. Genuinely, that was a bad game. I'm happy that we won. So we got the 3 points. For those of you maybe you still don't know, in the 60th, around the 60th minute, should be 64th. Jude Bellingham scored. He's back to scoring. He's back to scoring in the Champions League. Good to see him scoring. Good to see him back in the streets. Got an assist from Vinicius, an indirect assist technically because I think Vinicius, if I remember correctly, Vinicius shoots it at goal, bounces off, and then Bellingham, of course, is there for the rebound as he always is. So it's an indirect assist for Vinicius, but they're working together. They worked well, but in general, that game was bad. I don't like the way Kylian Mbappe played in that game. I feel like he was a little bit sluggish in that match. He didn't score, so I think now officially his streak of scoring all competitions is dead. He's still got a goal scoring streak in La Liga, but all competitions it's ended here. But we don't. These are just like champagne problems, to be honest. It's not a big thing like that. So we beat them 1-0 with that late minute win, 60th minute winner from Jude Bellingham. We have gone 3 for 3 in Champions League, which is very good because I said it. And if you guys go back to my predictions video, the episode I did for my Champions League predictions and reacting just when they did the group layout, I said that with this new format, this new league format, I feel like if you can secure 5 wins and a draw, you're almost certified. Not 100% because the other teams could be performing very well, but you're almost certified that if out of your 8 games, you can have 5 wins, 1 draw, even afford 2 losses at the end there. You can certify yourself a top 8 position because 5 wins, that's 15 points, 1 draw, that's 16 points. 16 points, I believe, is more than good enough to get you positions 5 to 8. So we don't have to play those extra 2 games in the playoff rounds, which I believe is good. And so far, we're at 3 for 3. And this was good because this was not our best. We were sluggish in that game. We were bad, but we were favored because of the fact that Juventus, they have some talking to do. They have some delegation to do within their team. They have some, scrutinization that needs to happen there so that they can see properly what's going on in their team, what's wrong with their team. Because I can actually confidently say that going out of that game, we were less good. Juventus were just more bad, and that's why we ended up winning that game because they had opportunities. For me, their players disappointed. Their attacking force was very weak. They subbed off Udis, I think, in the second half, like early on, 50th minute, 60th minute there. Vlahovic also got subbed off. They didn't really do much with the people who came in. They were playing like 9 people at defense, 1 point, just holding down a low block. It just didn't look like they came prepared to play a high intense game. So we really literally like almost ran it back from the Club World Cup game where they played better-ish in the first half than us, and then in the second half we get our goal and just start to lock in, and while they defend and end up winning the game. So it was literally just like that. So I even tell you this, I'll make a joke. Go watch the Club World Cup game. That's the same thing. Maybe even we played a little bit better there. But going ahead into our next game, we're 3 for 3, and the big one is the next one. If you watched my prediction video, which you should go say, this is the game that I said, realistically, if you told me we went 7 for 1 or we went 6 for 2, one of those teams in that 1 or 2 that we could lose to, realistically speaking, is our next match, and that is the big one. That's Liverpool. We have Liverpool next, and unfortunately for us, it is going to be away. It is going to be at Trent Alexander-Arnold's old stadium, old knocking grounds, old boyhood stadium. It is at Anfield. We are going away. We're going to England. So one, I want to say, Anfield is not an easy place to play in. I know that if we're going back recent history, we have had some good history there in the sense of we beat them 5-2 last time we played there, and I think the other time in 2020 or 21 season when we had that pink jersey, we had beaten them at home 3-0 and then drew 1-1. So we actually have a good track record in the last 6 years of this players playing at Anfield, which is good. But if you go back just last season, the most recent time we went to Anfield, it wasn't the best. We unfortunately had our keisters handed to us. We had our backsides belt to ass. That was belt to ass because they beat us 2-0. He scored 2 goals. Mbappe missed a penalty. Vinicius was injured. Poor game all round. Mbappe, that was one of his worst games. He missed a penalty. We didn't play well. They completely shambled our defense because we didn't even have defense last season. They completely terrorized us. They just phone controlled us for the 90 minutes. 2-0. We didn't even by I think after the 60th minute, we didn't even really look like we had a hope for coming back in that game and scoring goals and trying to win it. It just looked like dead in the barrel. And but last season and this season are very different in the sense that this is a different Real Madrid side and this is a different Liverpool side. Liverpool, by the time I'm recording this, because I wanted to do the best thing I felt I could do was actually do a week roundup. So I'm recording this on the night. This is Saturday night, the day before our Classico, this 25th October. So I have hindsight of everything that's happening. So their previous game in the Champions League, they just beat not is it no not Leverkusen, was Frankfurt. Yeah, they just beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5 goals to 1. So they've gotten back to winning. But before that, they won a 4 game losing streak. They had lost to Crystal Palace, they had lost to Manchester United, of course, Chelsea, and to Galatasaray in the Champions League. So they won a 4 game losing streak. They fortunately for them came back. Unfortunate for us because it would have been nice if they kept on losing going into our game. But again, I see that as a net positive because wouldn't have liked it if they had lost 5 games and then played us, because they have a Premier League game today. I'm not fully sure they're playing. I need to go either Brentford. I think they're away at Brentford, but it's to our advantage that they actually won that game against Frankfurt 5-1 in the Champions League, because if they had not, they would have had more motivation, more incentive to keep on going and finally get a win, because I believe it's Arne Slot. He's not going to be wanting to go 6 for 0, 0 for 6, sorry. That's madness. That's like, if his name was Ange Postecoglou, that would be like, my job is even on the shaky side. I'm about to get that call. I'm about to get that phone call saying, it's over. But fortunately for them, and maybe even fortunately for us, they have ended their losing streak, so they are a bit laxed-ish because they had a very good, comfortable win, beautiful second half. You guys should go check that if you want to see it. They won 5-1, and then they're playing Brentford. I hope they do very okay, but not too impressive against Brentford, and they keep going. And then when they play us, I'm just hoping, one, that our team is fully fit, because I believe that fully fit team going to Anfield with Trent back, with Dean Huijsen back, with Carvajal back, with our midfield, who's injured in our midfield? Is Camavinga back? I think Camavinga's back. Okay, Rudiger back. Rudiger has to be back. Courtois has to be fit because Jesus Christ, we need Courtois for that game. Our front three has to be a tip top shape. Our backup front three, which unfortunately sometimes includes people like Rodrigo and Vinicius in it, has to be fully fit. I just want us to have a good team. I want us to have a solid team, because if we have a solid team, I believe we can give them a run for their money. Hopefully Salah stays in this slump of form he's having even in that match. We pray for the worst for him. I'm just kidding. I pray for the best for everyone, but I just hope he doesn't have the best of games against us. He already had his revenge once. We have to run it back to the way it used to be. He forgot. And a talking point, just if I want to be slightly cocky, guys, I'm going to be slightly cocky. Vinicius Jr. on field does not know what defeat to Liverpool looks like. In all his games, he's played them about what now? You got the final in 2022, the 2 games in 2021, the 2 games in 2020, the 2 games in 2023, and then he didn't play the 2 games last season. So he's played them 5 times. He's played them 5 times. He's won 4, drawn 1. That's his track record. He's won 4, drawn 1 against us. Like maybe 3-2. I think we drew the Anfield games in 2020. No, we beat them. Oh yeah. His track record is 4-1. He doesn't know what defeat looks like. So we gotta keep it. We gotta continue that lore where it's like, if we have Vinicius on field, their defense. I want to be able to say that for all the hate you can give Vinicius Jr. I want to be able to say that Van Dijk can't handle him. Even if he can, it's like, give me that, that comfort inside. No, but anyway, I'm digressing. But it's good to have this good form, 3 for 3. If we lose this game, I wouldn't be fully taken aback, because realistically, I expected, not that I expect us to lose, but I expect that this could be the game when we lose. Just hopefully it doesn't shake us too much and we continue. Because what I believe is, if memory serves me right, after Liverpool, we have the 2 minor games we're playing, and then we have Manchester City next year, February it should be. Not February, sorry, next year, early January it should be. I hope we can win those 2 games before Man City. So if we can lock down solid 5 wins, then have that Liverpool L if it takes place, it would be marvelous. It would do me very well. It would do us very well, and we hopefully can certify ourselves in the top 8. Because I'm not even looking to end the group, number 1. That's for me is like, if it happens, well on it. But even if we end 8th, I'll be totally fine, because sometimes finishing first, just like our opponents who I'm talking about, finishing first, they know is the best thing. They got first and then got knocked out around the 16 by the champions. So if we finish 8th, I just don't want us to. I want us to play the realistically the least amount of games we can, but still have a far season. So I mean, I only want us to play the necessary games. I want us to play all 38 league games. I want us to play all the necessary Copa del Rey games up into the final, which we win. I want us to play the Champions League games up into the final, which we win in that one. I don't want us to have to play these knockout games this side, maybe there'll be these friendlies on this side and all of that. I just don't want to, because we played a lot of games last season with an already tired and already dead looking team, and then it just made us more tired and more injured, and we had a bad season in total. And I don't want that to happen again. So hopefully we can finish in that top 8 position. But so far for Juventus, not the best of games, but good consistency with the winning from the team. So I'll give them a thumbs up for that. But that game, I don't like the signs I was seeing. Hopefully, especially because that's the pre-game before our next weekend game, which is the big one, which I'll get to in a minute. So the next talking point is just some major news talking points before the game. So the first one, this is why I said I'm recording this episode late. So for those of you who haven't been caught up with anything, you can finally catch up now. Mr. Lamine Yamal. It's a classical weekend. He was on a I don't know if that was a podcast, a YouTube video, or something. Sports channel. I'll just say sports channel. I don't even watch it because it was even in Spanish. It was in Spanish, so I had to wait for the English dub for the proper actual translations of what he said. So he went on that podcast, and because it's a classical weekend, they had to talk about it. They asked him about El Clasico, and I don't want to. I'm not gonna. Nothing I'm saying here is directly quoted from him because I can like twist it from what he said because I don't know exactly what he said because even a translation wouldn't be 100% perfect. But he said some rather interesting comments. In the prelude to that game, to our game on Sunday, 26th of October, he said when they asked him if it's difficult to play at the Bernabeu, they said it's going to be a Bernabeu, it's going to be challenging. He said, I don't think it's going to be that challenging for us because what was it last time when we played there? It was like 4-0. I'll say cool. The next thing he talked about was him scoring. He said, I think I scored there. When they asked him if he'll score again, he said, I think so because, I scored last time. I have actually no problem with that because I understand that. I'm going to talk about it in a whole, but just to say for now, I feel like some people, overstretch the Lamine Yamal PR hatred and, cockiness thing. But I'll get to that in a second. The next thing, of course, he said, then now he attacked us directly, talking about, the problem with these guys is we have a problem as Real Madrid, like talking about the team. He said they always complain for the fouls. They're always cheating. And this might not be direct quoted, but this is what I've just heard around the media and from what I've seen in the videos and everything in the dubs. He said, we're always complaining, always getting the calls, but yet always cheating and complaining about, being unfairly treated in the league. To some degree, I can see where he's coming from. I'll highlight an example. In the other season, not last season, 2024 season, the same Lamine Yamal goal that was denied in that 3-2 win we had against them at the Bernabeu. Those types of instances can build up in his mind and see why he would think we always complain and what. But for me, when it comes to the game, I feel like now I'm summing everything up that he said. My views on it is that one, I fully have no problem. Like fully, it's not irritating me that he's talking the way he's talking. I just don't agree with some of the things he's saying. And you guys can come for me in the comments. You can even let me know your thoughts on this. He shouldn't put himself in a position where he feels the need to say these things. I know, and one thing that I'll give them like some props to Barcelona. These kids they found like Fermin Lopez. Okay, Pedri's like the epitome of humbleness, but Fermin Lopez, Gavi, Lamine Yamal, just for example, these three, they found youngsters with immense talent, great generational talents who completely and utterly at their core hate everything about my club. Like by the way, I have to highlight so many times, these guys like Lamine Yamal is my age. This guy's literally my age, and that guy has the amount of hatred I have for like, what can I say? Poor internet when I'm playing Fortnite, like that actual rage of just like something is irritating you. He has that hatred in him for the team I love, Real Madrid. Those youngsters they have hate us, and that's why they were so happy and so excited and so elated with how last season's El Clásicos went, and you could see it in their performances. Baude, add him to that list. All those little dancers of theirs, they hate us so much. So I already don't see why people are like blowing it out of proportion. Like, do you expect him? Because one, I think we all know at this point he's not Messi. He's not gonna go before a game and say, "I just want to let the football talk." He loves to talk. He loves to talk because he's a confident young man, which is a good thing because he's got character. Sometimes it gets a little bit misconstrued in the sense of he gets a little bit away from the football and more into the politics of a game, like the pre-politics of a match. But I feel like people are blowing it out of proportion. I have no problem with him saying that, it may not be that difficult playing there because last time we won. Of course, that's a bit of a dicey statement for me because I don't believe football is round. Because if that's like me when I'm talking about the Liverpool one, or if last season when we got Liverpool at Anfield, I say, what was it last time? We beat you like 5-2. I wouldn't say that because one, I just believe it's bad karma. Not that it's gonna affect the match, but it's just bad karma. You're just putting bad energy into the universe for this what should be this special match when you say things like that. So it's like somebody tells me, "Oh, you guys are playing Man City in the Champions League." I'm like, "Oh, how many times are we gonna beat those guys?" You're just giving yourself like bad voodoo. Like something is off about when you say such a statement. You just tarnish the purity to say of the match. So I have a slight problem with him saying that in the sense of you giving yourself bad karma. I don't want him to. That's what I talk about when I say he's entering the politics, the pre-politics of a match. These are things that fans online should be saying. I expect a troll, Barca fan 777 online to say, "What? Didn't we beat you guys like 4-0 last time? What you mean now we're at the Bernabeu? It's a big game." Yeah, I just wouldn't want anyone to do that. But in terms of saying it, I'm okay with that part. The part about, talking about the Bernabeu not being hard, last time I scored there, my problem with it is just it's supposed to, on its surface. We know it's not. Like we can all be truthful with ourselves. We can be open about this. We know that El Clasico is never a friendly fixture. It's built from war. It's built from, clash of titans. But at its heart, it is a respectful game. It is between combatants. So when you try and belittle the other side this much and meme them, like I had problems with it when he said that last season, when he said even if they score 2 goals or 3 goals or 4 goals, they can't just beat us, and until they beat me, they don't have to talk. It's you put yourself on the line, which is good because it's confident. But as a kid, and I'm not here to talk about anyone's character. I don't care if someone is the most cocky player. If you're doing good on your football, it doesn't matter what you do outside. If it's not affecting the game, when it starts to affect his game, it's a problem. It's a full-on problem. But if he's gonna play well, and even if they do beat us and he plays well, props to him. That's the massive aura for him. But if he loses and he gets like, if we batter them, for example, and he drops like a stinker, and Alvaro, and this one is the wildest of imaginations, but let's just throw it out there. Alvaro Carreras hits the young Nuno Mendes on him, Nations League style, where he's just completely off his game. He's just boxed out. He even skills him once or twice and locks him up. The negative that you get after making these outlandish statements and then getting hit with a match like this, it's not the type of realistic approach I would like for someone of his age, because people can take it somewhere dark. We've seen this before. Morocco knocked out Portugal from the World Cup. A young girl says, and I'm a Ronaldo fan. I'll be honest with that. I love Ronaldo as much as the next Ronaldo fan. See what I did there? Yeah. A young girl goes on the TV and just, she's supporting her country. She said, "Where's Ronaldo? Remember that? Remember her 3 years ago? 2022 World Cup." She says that, and people start actually taking it to the most disgusting places, because that's what a football fan base is. They're good seed and they're bad seed. So when I say I don't want Lamine Yamal to have the rehashes, I want people to troll him if we end up beating them, because I personally also want to beat him. The same way when he made that statement about the 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals, they can't beat us last season. I want us to beat him and silence him. I know that it's going to go into a point where it starts off as, "Oh, look, you talk a lot and then you got beaten." And then it'll go into, "This guy is too cocky for the game. Oh, this guy needs to be humbled. Oh, his career is going to fade." And then he's good at drowning out this noise, but at the end of the day, everyone is human. It will get to a point where it's all over the place. It's all over the internet. It's all over your thing. And then he'll feel like he shouldn't be able to express himself anymore. So that's why I would say that's why I like someone like Kubarsi. I don't like, a Messi type, to be honest. I like some character. Heck, I support Real Madrid. I live for that character. I have a different. I supported Ramos for 10 years like he was some normal guy, but he was like the most. He was the most like characteristic, antagonistic human on the pitch next to his defensive partner Pepe. But what I'm saying is, not to be humble, or to be, a little bit like, yeah, to be humble in the sense of, sometimes you don't have to say this about your opponent, because it's like you're trying to belittle them too much, and then you make it look like it's not a competition. But this is the biggest game in the world. So when you have their best player going out there and saying things like that, it builds a bad picture, but it builds a good picture in my eyes. I do, to a degree, like that he said that for 2 reasons. One, it's the type of things that Classico needs to go back. And that's one thing, I'm sorry, a little bit, I'm going to make an outlandish, a bit touchy statement here. I feel like El Clasico over the last 3 years, and maybe even ever since Messi left, it's gotten a little bit too mushy. There's no heart at it. Even the fights feel so forced. Like it's not passionate hate. It's hate in the game because I think we're supposed to hate each other type of hate. But I love what he said, because we're gonna take it back to the roots. You remember what, like, prime El Clasico days, bro. Like Ramos just barreling a full-on Brexit, no ball contact tackle on Messi's knee, Messi's shin, and then acting like he didn't do anything. And then when Messi's on the ground complaining, Pepe just steps on his hand, and then Puyol starts fighting everybody. There was true hatred. But the problem with what I have with Lamine Yamal is the good side is he's bringing back that passion and that hatred between the clubs. But the bad side is those guys didn't feel the need to use words. And people will highlight, like, there was a time Ronaldo, I remember that one, should be, I've forgotten the year, but when Ronaldo, after Barcelona beat Almeria like 8-0, and he said, we don't care about the 8 goals they scored. Let's see if they can score half of those. That's not the same type of statement. That's him genuinely saying we're not Almeria. Like, realistically, why does that game have to put a fear into us? Like, oh, they scored 8 goals against a bottom side team. That's like City being like, oh, we're about to play Manchester United, and Manchester United just beat, we just came in, Sunderland. Let's say they just entered. We just beat Sunderland 6-0. Oh, because, our defense is on the same level as Sunderland, we should be scared. That one's different as opposed to what he's saying. So I like the positives of that, but the negative is they didn't have to go into the media and start, talking to get that rival. The rival would be on the field. I just love on the field violence. Here's me being devil's advocate. But anyway, I've talked on this Lamine Yamal thing. Carvajal, I heard some reports that he was going to talk to him after the game. I hope when he talks to him, he doesn't try and lowbrow him in the sense of, like, make him say, don't stop talking at all, because he shouldn't stop talking, but he should just know what to say, when to say it. He needs to be PR trained in that sense, because it can damage him, because PR can damage a football player. We act like, you can ignore it, but it gets to a point, and we've seen it with some players where the media completely just messed them up, and I would hate to see that happen with him, because sometimes it's even good that we have someone like a Messi rivaling us this much, because our Classicos would be boring if we were always just winning. We'd feel like Manchester Derby. Don't come at me in the comments, Manchester City and Man U fans. Okay, the next major news talking point here was Alonso in a press conference had praised Kylian Mbappe for his form. I think he had 10 goals in, I forgot, 9 games in La Liga or something. But he praised him for his form. He said he's doing very well. He's very proud of him. He's very happy with how he's performing, and he would love to continue at this consistency for the rest of the season. And he says if we do, it would be very vital to the club and us winning trophies down the line. And I agree with him, because Kylian Mbappe is our best performing player. This is going to tie in my other point, so I'll continue it when I'm talking about the El Clasico. But yeah, the next point, of course, is still on the El Clasico, because it's the big thing. It's the big thing that's happening. Is my thoughts are just, we have to play our best. This is going to be a big game. This one is actually going to be a decisive game, because Barcelona have some injuries. We had some injuries, but some people have come back, who I'll talk about just next year. But I feel like we need to win. But unfortunately, guys, I'll level with you. I'm never going to say Barcelona are winning an El Clasico from my heart. But I am getting a little bit bad vibes here, because I haven't seen the full shift. And I would have loved to see it, after what happened last season. I'd love to see that full shift in our team's mentality, attacking, balance, where I can confidently say we're better. But we have gotten better, but I don't know if it's better enough. And Flick is a dangerous manager, guys, so we got to watch out for that. The next thing, the players who are back, I was talking about players who are back. We got our 2 right backs back, Trent, Carvajal, and Dean Huijsen are back. And for Barcelona, Rafinha, I just heard he's not going to be able to play. They also don't have Lewandowski. They don't have Joan Garcia. I think they don't have Koundé. I saw that, but I don't know if that's true. And they don't have Dani Olmo. Maybe some other people are also injured. But it's shaping in our favor. But with El Clasico, it's just a weird game, man. It can actually be to Barcelona's advantage. They don't have injuries. What if they do to us what PSG did to them? They have major injuries from their attack, midfield, and defense, and goalkeeper, and then that makes them play better and safer, and then they take control and win. But those are the major news stories. Now to actually just deep dive real quick into the El Clasico. It's going to take place Sunday, 26th of October. For those of you who don't know, it's going to be different times. I don't know what time. For us in Africa, it's around 6:15 p.m. Should be around maybe, what's that, 4 p.m. most Eastern times. But I'm not here to talk about the times. I'm here to talk about it. Lamine Yamal versus Carreras. That duel will be crucial, because whoever wins that duel might just be the definitive factor of how that game plays out at its end. Because I'd lie to you if I would say that I was 100% sure that Carreras is able to body him out. I ain't even seen him body, anyone tough yet. But that would be crucial. Lamine Yamal will be crucial in that game for Barcelona. He's going to be playing his best. One, because my boy's just aura gambled everything. He's laid it out on the line. He's all in. He's just said, I'm going to give you my aura. Take it and you can either multiply it for me or you can, take it away from me. So he will be at his best. And if we can stop him, that will be tops. But it's not just Lamine Yamal. There's two players in mind who I think will be cardinal. The two already that I think are going to shift that game deeply will be Pedri and De Jong, because those two are going to control the midfield. If we can break their midfield hold on us, we're golden. But if we allow Pedri to do what Pedri does to us and does in general, I feel like that game is going to be very difficult for us. But the two people who can be the aces, the dark horses of Barcelona against us are Fermin Lopez and Marcus Rashford. Fermin Lopez, because that guy is just ecstatic. He loves one to score against us. You guys can see he's got a good track record. I think he's got like 3 or 4 goals against us. Two is he's very, very good at helping Barcelona's attack. He knows how to move them forward and put the ball in the net for them. And he's very lively. And he's one of the people who can catch Lamine Yamal's crazy ass assists, man. So that for me, very deadly. Marcus Rashford, purely because this guy's a dark horse. I genuinely don't know what type of game he's about to have tomorrow. He could have the stinkiest El Clasico performance he's had because the lights get to him, or he could show why he's world class. But if recent form is dictating it, he's probably gonna show why he's world class in that match, and it's gonna be a tough matchup for Valverde. The problem with that one is Balde, I think, is back. So if they play Balde in that game, Valverde on pace can, I think, match up and even surpass Rashford if he's serious. But when he starts to balance out the Balde, Rashford knows how to control his left back to use him to his best advantage. And Valverde sometimes gets caught off on that. He'll be in the midfield when he should be at the back. He should be at the back when he could push forward. So it's going to be very crazy. Those two, for me, are going to be very, very cardinal to this. The next point I have to talk about is, for us, the players who I think would be key. I think it's known at this point. Of course, we need Courtois to be at his absolute best, trying to shot stop. Because if Lamine Yamal gets free on that curler, the defenders aren't doing. We know the defenders are not doing nothing. That ball's phasing through them. It's passing through their legs, bro. And then it's all about Courtois. Can he save the shots? Can he stop the shots? I need that prime Courtois energy, bro. I need it. And then the next thing is Arda Güler, Kylian Mbappe. Those two are going to be so key. Arda Güler, because I think he's the charging force. He's the driving force of our midfield to attacking. I was talking about it. We don't have midfield to attack cohesion, but when he plays at his best, we do have that cohesion, and he can be very cardinal in breaking them down, especially with the defensive, setbacks they've had with these injuries. He can be very cardinal in exploiting those positions, getting the ball to Kylian Mbappe, because we didn't get to see him at his prime last season because he barely played. But now he's priming out. He's having some good minutes. He's having some good games, some bad games, which I hope he doesn't replicate. But all around, he's doing some good work. And Kylian Mbappe, man, what more can be said? He literally got a hat trick in that last El Clasico. Unfortunately, we still lost it. Unfortunately, we still lost that previous El Clasico, even though he scored 3 goals. Which, saying it out loud, just makes me want to go back to that night and cut off my eyes for forcing me to watch that. Okay, anyway, I digress. He scored 3 goals. He scored 1 goal in the 5-2. He's been scoring, and even before Madrid, he'd been scoring against Barcelona. But if he can play that high line well, if he can play it the way he played it for those first 2 goals on the second goal, because the first one was a penalty. That second goal in the El Clasico, break the high line, exploit their weaknesses, because Barcy hasn't been as good as he was last season. That's just facts. They've lost, and I'm so happy, they've lost Mr. Offside. Inigo Martinez, who was keeping Mbappe literally offside to his best, is no longer there. They might play a Raul who can match him on speed and agility and strength, but sometimes isn't the best decision maker and high line keeper. So they can play him. If it's Eric Garcia, he's tactically, I think he can match him up, but speed-wise, he can exploit that on him. If he plays the high line well, that's one of the cardinal things he has to do. Play the high line well, and when he gets those chances, I don't want what he was doing with Inaki Peña last season in that first El Clasico, where even when he was onside, he was under pressure and was just shooting it straight at him. I want that prime PSG Barcelona 2021 Kylian Mbappe finishing, that hat-trick scorer, the one who dominated, the one who didn't even have to go to the box to put that ball in the net. That's who I want. That's who I want on that match. Because if he is that Mbappe and being supplied by, Arda Güler or Franco Masantuano at their best, we can get that game. We can even score more goals than them. We can outscore them, and we can score a high amount of goals, and we can exploit them and beat them. Vinicius Jr. needs to come back. I wrote this one in all caps bold because I mean it. When I say he needs to come back, I mean, technically, El Clasico-wise, that's not his best game. He's had some good ones, but it's not his best game. It's just like Atletico. He doesn't really shine in that match. But what I need is that Vinicius Jr. who is so potent that he knows how to draw out the defense. He knows how to absorb that pressure. Like the way he played against Villarreal, he draws out that pressure, gets it on him, knows how to escape the ball from that pressure very well, and lay it off for the perfect assist when it's needed, sometimes a perfect shot. I want cohesion between him and Mbappe because that's cardinal. For me, that's the talking points. That's what needs to be done. The next point is Xavi Alonso needs to show a united, strong look for the club after the Atletico game because Atletico were our first test against a majorly strong side and we absolutely fumbled the bag. It would be touching if we got beat because for me, genuinely, if we lost that game already, it's dicey for him. But if we lose tomorrow's game by a big margin, like some of that last season stuff, that 4-0 5-2 energy, if that happens with the way the two teams are right now, I prefer not to speak. On Alonso's job, I prefer not to speak. I prefer not to speak because what do you mean? What do you mean a team without Lewandowski, without Ferran Torres, who's his backup, and without Rafinha, and no keeper? They don't have their top keeper. They're playing the returning retiree from last season, Wojciech Szczesny, and we did not score more than them one, and then you let them outscore you by a lot. On your job, Alonso, I prefer not to speak. That's what I say. Because Atletico, you scared me. That was one of the worst actual like on-field management decision making that he's had of all these games we've played so far. Hopefully he learned from that. Hopefully he learned from Juventus. Hopefully he's learned from these La Liga games where we were a bit on the nose, almost about to lose. And he can make the right decisions, put the right team forward, play the right tactics, and show people that why there is a difference between... we actually need to see a difference between Ancelotti ball and Alonso ball. You got to show us that difference, bro. The next thing I was talking about is Barcelona's injuries. I said it already. These are going to be cardinal for us because they are missing some top talent. They've made up for it in like a good way, in a way, but not really because they're still missing the top keeper, which is a strong point. They're missing a defender. They're missing Rafinha, who loves scoring against us. They're missing Lewandowski, who loves to terrorize our defense. We're missing players, but we have some... I think we have less injuries than them. So that excuse for me edges to them. So I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use it personally. The next thing, second to last thing I'm going to talk about here is there's a lot on the line, guys. This one is to all my Real Madrid fans. There's a lot on the line. One, there's aura in the air. There's aura on the line. Lamine Yamal's aura is on the line versus Real Madrid's aura is on the line. If he talks like that and he beats us and performs well, I prefer not to speak. On Real Madrid being a professional club, I prefer not to speak. Because how are you going to let him say all that and beat you at your stadium? Because then he's just your owner. You just have to accept it. Even if he's not the next Messi, he's the next Messi in the sense of he owns us. We're going back to the dark ages where we can't escape this vortex, where every game you just expect him to score because he owns us. Our defenders just hate him and they're going to start, breaking his legs because that's the only way to stop him. So the next thing that's online, the bigger one for me than aura and all this, the league position. We're currently sitting on top with 2 points ahead of them. If we win this game, we go 5 points ahead of them. If we draw, we go a whole 3 points ahead of them. And if we lose, we go 1 point behind them. So losing isn't the worst thing league position wise. It is because we're behind them. So we're going to be chasing them. But in terms of winning would be good. Going 5 points ahead means we have to fumble 2 games or 1 game and 2 draws, which I can see happening, of course, because it's not impossible, but it's a very good position to be in where they need us to fail more than we need them to succeed or fail. And like that, we don't care about them. So the league position's on the line. Literally, the winner goes on top of the table. So these are the type of classicals everyone knows define the season at the end of the day. The next thing is the future. The future of this league is in the hands of this game, like I've told you. So we need to know that, it's on the line. We're laying it all on the line. We need to lay it all on the line. I don't care. To be honest with you, I don't really fully care if we were to beat these guys 4-0 and then lose 3-0 to Liverpool. Okay, let me relax and retract that statement. People are listening to me. There are people listening to me who, hear words I say and put them in the universe. So just bring that back. Bring that back. I'm going to rephrase it. I wouldn't mind beating Barcelona if it came at the cost of losing to Liverpool. I'm going to say it like that. Not the scores I said because please, Mother Universe. Yes, I mean in the sense of I would rather have the future of our league and our El Clasico stature being certified than the Champions League where we can just bounce back and win the next two games. Here, they're not in the next two games. The next one is all the way next year, big 2026. I ain't got no patience for that. I haven't seen us win in the last five El Clasicos I've watched, which as I'm saying it out loud, is such a damning statement to make. Yeah, so that's on the line. The next thing also, respect. Respect. Now I'm being a little bit of a troll, but it's on the line. The respect of our club in this match and the dignity of the statements Lamine Yamal made are on the line. We gotta defend them. Now the final thing, the one maybe you guys have all been waiting for. You can skip to this. I'll try my best, guys. I'll expose myself. I still don't know how to put timestamps. So maybe if you guys have been thinking I want you to watch 40-minute videos without being able to skip to help your mental capacity. No, it's not that. I just don't know how to put timestamps on videos yet. But I'm gonna learn before I post this one. Edit it, put the timestamps. You can skip to this timestamp. And by the way, if you skip to this timestamp, hey. Anyway, so score prediction, final thoughts. Final thoughts, I believe it's going to be a good game. That's one thing I'll say. It's going to be a good game. I hope it's going to be a good game because even if we lose, I told my brother who's a Barcelona fan, if we lose, I want us to lose with quality. I want us to lose with dignity. I hated the way we lost in the other three except for the Copa del Rey one, where it's like we lost and we just didn't look like we even wanted to fight. We didn't look like we were ready for passion. We didn't look like we were ready to win. If we lose, hopefully we don't, but if we do lose or draw, I hope we put it all on the line and fought to the actual last second. Because if we do and we lost, I'm at peace knowing that they're better than us like that. Like PSG and Barcelona. They fought to the end and PSG held strong and won at the end. So I'll find solace in knowing that it's not that my team doesn't have passion. They have passion. We just played the better man. And if we win, we had passion and this is what we look like with passion. So either way, I'm getting a positive from this. So I just hope that both teams play the best because this game has to go back to getting those days of aura. Now it's more being carried by the fact that it's El Clasico, not by the fact of the games. We also need to win. To be honest, I think we just genuinely need to win because, losing 6 in a row is insane work. Them tying up the wins on El Clasicos is something I don't want to see. And genuinely, man, how many times can a guy beat you before you have to just accept that you're like his bitc and then finish that word? Like how many times? How many times does he gotta spank your bosom before you accept that? You could call him master now. But yeah, my score prediction. I don't have an exact score. Unfortunately, I had a very bad thought about the game, which I now realize is actually because I believe it. I feel like, unfortunately, on our side, if we lose to it, but I do feel whoever wins this game is winning by 2-goal margin. I hope, I'm going to say I don't think, but I'm just going to lay it as I hope there's nothing more than a 2-goal margin because that's a 2-0, 3-1, 4-3, 4-2, 5-3. I hope we're not getting. I don't want a goal fest, like a crazy goal fest. If I have a goal fest, let it be a 1-goal margin loss. So let's have a 6-5 if you're gonna have 11 goals in that match. Now I don't want some 7-3 going on. Please, I'm tired of these memes of these high scoring games. But I feel like whoever wins is gonna win by 2-goal margin. My prediction is 3-1 or 3-2 to us. If there's gonna be a lot of goals, if not, I predict a calm 2-1. I hope that both teams score. Both teams score being like, I'm assuming Barcelona are going to score, so I hope we score because I don't want us to go again being clean sheeted at our own stadium. That was embarrassment that I'm not ready to go through again. So I hope we both score if it means they score first. But if we go have to do them a clean sheet, I'm sorry. It had to be done. So that's my prediction. This was the news roundup for the week, guys. I had to wait. I was literally taking down notes and doing some research on this. I hope you guys liked it. I'm trying to try and edit this one, as we know, in the new ways. I'm going to be trying to edit these videos so they're not as, clumped up 40 minutes of just pictures, the same picture like last time. Go check out my previous Q&A episode. It was very fun to do. Go check out the previous episodes. Please make sure you watch El Classico. Comment down your thoughts on this one and come back to it after El Classico. I'll be checking your comments and replying to them. This was real talk. This was fun. El Clasico tomorrow. Hopefully we win. Let's go. HALA Madrid. Peace.